Hello everyone. In this video analysis, we will do the daily current affairs analysis of the news items which were there in news on 28th September 2021. So what are the topics which we will discuss? First, we will see the Ayushman Bharat digital mission which has been launched recently by the Prime Minister of India. What are the features of this? Significance of this we will see. Next, we will see the first woman speaker of Gujarat Assembly who has been elected recently. Next, we will discuss about the International Criminal Court, what it is, about its composition, its powers, some drawbacks, etc. Next, we will see the government borrowing. What are the constitutional provisions under which government, a central or a state government can borrow? We will see that. Next, we will see that right to get aid from government is not a fundamental right. Recently, it has been ruled by the Honorable Court. So, we will discuss this. Next, you'll see what is an International Atomic Energy Agency, what it exactly is. Okay, so now we'll discuss that. Next, also we'll see the Swachh Sarvekshan 2021, which has been carried out recently. The details of it we will see. Who is the implementing agency? What are the best and the worst performing states in this? We will see. Next is the Akash Prime. It is a prelim specific topic, and the Taiwan state. It is also a prelim specific topic. Okay. So first we will discuss about the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. It is important for GS paper 2, and the topic is the issues related to health. Okay. So why it is in news? The Ayushman Bharat digital mission was recently launched by the Prime Minister. The mission will provide a digital health ID to the people who will hold their health records. The pilot project of the Ayushman Bharat digital mission was announced on August 15 last year. Currently, the program is being implemented in the pilot phase in 6 union territories: Chandigarh, Ladakh, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Lakshadweep. So, what are the features of this mission? It is a digital health ecosystem under which every Indian citizen will now have a unique health ID, UHID. It is also known as UHID. Also, digitized health records with identifiers for doctors and health facilities. The scheme will come under the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Okay, so it comprises six key building blocks: the health ID, Digi Doctor, under which consultation can be taken on a remote basis, health facility registry, personal health records, which will carry all the details of the health records, the discharge summary, the lab reports, or the various health records of an individual, the e-pharmacy, which will contain the links or details of all the chemists which are connected on that platform, and the telemedicine also. So the National Health Authority has been given the mandate to design, build, roll out and implement mission in the country. So the implementing agency is the National Health Authority. It can be a potential statement in the prelims. So the core building blocks of the mission is that the health ID, Digi Doctor and health facility registry shall be owned, operated and maintained by the Government of India. Private stakeholders will have an equal opportunity to integrate and create their own products for the market. The core activities and verifications, however, remain with the government. So under the mission, every Indian will get a health ID card that will store all medical details of the person, including prescriptions, treatment, diagnosis reports, and discharge summaries. Okay, so all these details will be there in what we call as the uh, PHR, personal health record details. Okay, so health ID is a randomly generated 14-digit number used for the purposes of uniquely identifying persons, authenticating them, and spreading their health records only with their informed consent across multiple systems and stakeholders. So consent is important because right to privacy has been declared as a fundamental right by the Honorable Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy case 2017. So the citizens will be able to give their doctors and health providers one-time access to this data during visits to the hospital for consultation. So what was the need of for this mission? The mission aims to liberate citizens from the challenges of finding the right doctors, seeking appointment, payment of consultation fee, making several rounds of hospitals for prescription sheets, among several others, and will empower people to make an informed decision to avail the best possible health care. So participation in system is to be voluntary. It aims to establish digital health systems and managing health data, improve quality of health data consultation, storage and dissemination, provide a platform for interoperability of healthcare data, fast-track creation of updated and accurate health registries for the entire country. So key building blocks are Health ID, Personal Health Records (PHR), DigiDoctor, Health Facility Registry (HFR), telemedicine, e-pharmacy. Guiding principles are voluntary participation, privacy and security by design, inclusivity, and seamless portability. So prelims hot-link topics are overview of the National Digital Health Mission (NDHM), components of the mission, proposed National Health ID, who can issue these IDs, highlights of the National Health Policy 2017. So source of this news is The Hindu. Okay. So next is the first woman speaker of Gujarat Assembly. It is important for GS paper 2. Topic is appointment to various constitutional posts, powers, functions, and responsibilities of various constitutional bodies. So why it is in news? Veteran legislator Neema Ben Acharya was unanimously elected the first woman speaker of the Gujarat Assembly recently. So how are speakers and deputy speakers elected? What are the constitutional provisions regarding the same? Article 93 of for Lok Sabha and Article 178 for state assemblies state that these houses shall, as soon as may be, choose two of its members to be Speaker and Deputy Speaker respectively. In Lok Sabha and state legislatures, the President or the Governor sets a date for the election of the Speaker, and it is the Speaker who decides the date for the election of the Deputy Speaker. So all these things are very important for prelims point of view. Okay, so the legislatures of the respective houses vote to elect one among themselves to these offices. Their roles and functions. The Speaker is the principal spokesman of the House. He represents its collective voice and is its sole representative to the outside world. The Speaker presides over the House proceedings and joint sittings of the two houses of Parliament. It is the Speaker's decision that determines whether a bill is a money bill and therefore outside the purview of the other House. Usually, the speaker comes from the ruling party. In the case of deputy speaker of Lok Sabha, the position has varied over the years. The constitution has tried to ensure the independence of speaker by charging his salary on the consolidated fund of India, and the same is not subject to vote of parliament. While debating or during general discussion on a bill, the members of the parliament have to address only to the speaker. States which have specified time period for holding the election. The constitution neither sets a time limit nor specifies the process for these elections. It leaves it to the legislators to decide how to hold these elections. Again, very important for from prelims point of view. For example, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh specify a time frame for the election of the speaker. So in Haryana, the election of the speaker has to take place as soon as possible after the election, and then the deputy speaker is to be elected within 7 more days. The rules also specify that if a vacancy in these offices happens subsequently, then the election for these should occur within 7 days of the legislature's next session. So these things you have to remember. These factual informations are important from the prelims point of view. Okay. So in Uttar Pradesh, there is a 15-day limit for an election to the speaker's post if it falls vacant during the term of the assembly. In the case of the deputy speaker, the date for the first election is to be decided by the speaker, and 30 days is given for filling subsequent vacancies. Prelims hot-link topic: election of speaker, functions, powers, removal, grounds for removal, committees he is associated with. Source is The Hindu, International Criminal Court. It is important for GS paper 2. Topic is important international institutions, agencies and fora, their structure and their mandate. So why it is in news? The International Criminal Court's new prosecutor has asked the court to relaunch an inquiry into alleged crimes against humanity committed by the Taliban and supporters of the Islamic State in Afghanistan since 2003. ICC has notified the Taliban via Afghanistan's embassy in the Netherlands that it intends to resume an investigation. So background is a previous ICC inquiry was deferred in April 2020 following a request by the then Afghan government of Ashraf Ghani to be given time to gather evidence in cooperation with ICC lawyers. So about ICC we will discuss This is very important for prelims. So the International Criminal Court (ICC), located in The Hague, is the court of last resort for prosecution of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. It is the first permanent treaty-based international criminal court established to help end impunity for the perpetrators of the most serious crimes of concern to the international community. Its founding treaty, the Rome Statute, entered into force on July 1, 2002. So the Rome Statute is linked with the International Criminal Court. And next is the International Court of Justice. Okay, you also have to study about that. The difference between the ICC and the ICJ should be clear in your mind. Okay, then only you will be able to better tackle the questions which are asked in the prelims. So funding is, although the course expenses are funded primarily by state parties, it also receives voluntary contributions from governments, international organizations, individuals, corporations, and other entities. Composition and voting power. The court's management, oversight, and legislative body, the Assembly of State Parties, consists of one representative from each state party. Each state party has one vote, and every effort has to be made to reach decisions by consensus. If consensus cannot be reached, decisions are made by vote. The assembly is presided over by a president and two vice presidents who are elected by the members to 3-year terms. Criticisms: it does not have the capacity to arrest suspects and depends on member states for their cooperation. Critics of the court argue that there are insufficient checks and balances on the authority of the ICC prosecutor and judges and insufficient protection against politicized prosecutions or their abuses. The ICC has been accused of bias as being a tool of Western imperialism, only punishing leaders from small, weak states while ignoring crimes committed by richer and more powerful states. So the ICC cannot mount successful cases without state cooperation is problematic for several reasons. It means that the ICC acts inconsistently in its selection of cases, is prevented from taking on hard cases, and loses legitimacy. ICJ versus ICC. You have to study this in detail. International Court of Justice, La Cour Internationale de Justice. And next is the International Criminal Court, La Cour Penale Internationale. So here, court established, ICJ was established in 1946, whereas ICC was established recently in 2002. So the UN relationship, ICJ is the official court of the UN, commonly referred to as the World Court. While ICC is independent, it may receive case referrals from the UN Security Council. Location of both is in The Hague, the Netherlands. So types of cases which are there in the ICJ are contentious, which are contentious between parties and advisory opinions. And in the ICC, there are cases are basically of the nature of criminal prosecution of individuals. Subject matter in case of ICJ is sovereignty, boundary and maritime disputes, trade, natural resources, human rights, treaty violations, treaty interpretation, and more. And in case of ICC, they are genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, crimes of aggression. Funding of ICJ is UN funded, and ICC is assessed contribution from state parties to the Rome Statute, voluntary contributions from the UN, voluntary contributions from governments, international organizations, individuals, corporations, and other entities. So the prelims hot link topics are difference between the ICJ and the ICC. You have to remember that. Next is the geographical locations of these organizations and overview of surrounding countries. Doha Accord between US and Taliban. What is Rome Statute? Location of Afghanistan and the neighboring countries. You have to remember that also. Next is the US Taliban peace deal overview. You have to see that. Okay, so source is the Hindu. Next is the government borrowing. It is important for GS paper 3. Topic is government budgeting. So why it is in news? The government will borrow rupees 5.03 lakh crore in the second half of the current fiscal to fund the revenue gap for reviving the pandemic hit economy. During the first half, the government has raised rupees 7.02 lakh crore by issuing bonds. So the background is the government raises money from the market to fund its fiscal deficit through dated securities and treasury bills, what we call as SECs, government securities, and T-bills, treasury bills. So the treasury bills are issued only by the central government and they are not issued by the state government now. Okay. So the budget has pegged fiscal deficit at 6.8% for the current fiscal, down from 9.5% of the GDP projected for financial year 21. So what is government borrowing? Borrowing is a loan taken by the government and falls under capital received in the budget document. Usually the government borrows through the issue of government securities called G-Secs and treasury bills. How does the increased government borrowing affects government finances? Now you see this. So bulk of the government's fiscal deficit comes from its interest obligation on past debt. For example, a government has taken a particular loan in the previous years. So in the next few years, the interest which the government has to pay on the loan which the government had taken, that interest amounts for the largest share of the fiscal deficit of a particular government. Okay, be it the state government or the central government. So if the government resorts to larger borrowings more than what it has projected, then its interest costs will also go up, risking higher fiscal deficit that hurts government finances. Larger borrowing program means that the public debt will go up, and especially at a time when the GDP growth is subdued, it will lead to a higher debt to GDP ratio, and that is not very beneficial for the economy in the long run. So what are off budget borrowings? Off budget borrowings are the loans that are taken not by the center directly but by another public institution which borrows on the directions of the central government, like the PSUs, central public sector undertakings, like the LIC, MTNL, BSNL, etc. Such or the Indian Oil Corporation, ONGC, etc. So such borrowings are used to fulfill the government's expenditure needs. But since the liability of the loan is not formally on the center, the loan is not included in the national fiscal deficit. So you have to remember this, that the loans which are taken under the off-budget borrowing, they are not included in the national fiscal deficit calculation. It can be a potential statement in the prelims. So this helps keep the country's fiscal deficit within acceptable limits. So prelims hot link topics are: what are government securities, what are treasury bills, what is Ways and Means Advance, and what is the FRBM Act. Financial Review and Budget Management Act, but you have to also study about that. The source is The Hindu. Next is right to get aid from government is not a fundamental right. Important for GS paper 2. Topic is Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings, evolution, features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. So why it is in news? The Supreme Court has held that the government aid to an institution is a matter of policy and it is not a fundamental right. So what's the case? The judgment came on an appeal filed by the Uttar Pradesh government challenging the 2018 Allahabad High Court verdict, holding that a regulation framed under the Intermediate Education Act 1921 is unconstitutional. The apex court set aside the High Court verdict. Important observations made by the court. Grant of aid brings with it conditions which the institution receiving it is bound to comply with. If an institution does not want to accept the conditions, it can decline the grant but cannot say that the grant must be on its own terms. A decision to grant aid is by way of policy. So while doing so, the government is not only concerned with the interests of the institutions, but the ability to undertake such an exercise. As regards to the aided institutions, there cannot be any difference between a minority and a non-minority one. Article 30 of the Constitution of India is subject to its own restrictions being reasonable. So constitutional provisions regarding minority educational institutions. Article 31 recognizes linguistic and religious minorities but not those based on race, ethnicity. It recognizes the right of religious and linguistic minorities to establish and administer educational institutions, in effect recognizing the role educational institutions play in preserving distinct culture. A majority community can also establish and administer educational institutions, but they will not enjoy special rights under Article 31A. Special rights enjoyed by religious minority institutions are under Article 31A, the MEI, minority educational institutions enjoy right to education as a fundamental right. In case the property is taken over by state, due compensation to be provided to establish institutions elsewhere. Under Article 15(5), MEIs are not considered for reservation. Under Right to Education Act, MEI is not required to provide admission to children in the age group of 6 to 14 years up to 25% of enrollment reserved for economically backward section of society. In St. Stephens versus Delhi University case 1992, Supreme Court ruled that MEIs can have 50% seats reserved for minorities. That Tamapai and others versus the state of Karnataka and others 2002 case, Supreme Court ruled that MEIs can have separate admission process which is fair, transparent and merit-based. They can also separate fee structure but should not charge capitation fee. So prelims hot link is various rights available for MEIs. Rights of minorities versus other institutions. Can states interfere in their internal matters? What is NEET? The source is The Hindu. The next is what is International Atomic Energy Agency? GS paper 2 topic is important international institutions, agencies and fora, their structure, mandate. So why it is in news? The EU, European Union and the US United States have urged Iran to allow inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) to access a nuclear site, while Tehran urged the facility was exempt from a recent agreement with the UN watchdog. Background: IAEA and Tehran struck the 3-month monitoring agreement in February to cushion the blow of Iran reducing its cooperation with the agency. The agreement was extended several times. Implications or concerns: the announcement could further complicate talks between Iran and six major powers on reviving a 2015 nuclear deal. 3 years ago, former US President Donald Trump withdrew from the pact and reimposed crippling sanctions on Tehran. Iran reacted by violating restrictions. About IAEA, set up as the world's Atoms for Peace organization in 1957 within the United Nations family, reports to both the United Nations General Assembly and Security Council, headquarters in Vienna, Austria, functions, works with its member states and multiple parts worldwide to promote the safe, secure and peaceful use of nuclear technologies, seeks to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy and to inhibit its use for any military purpose, including nuclear weapons. Programs: Program of Action for Cancer Therapy (PACT), Human Health Program, Water Availability Enhancement Project, International Project on Innovative Nuclear Reactors and Fuel Cycles 2000. 2015 nuclear deal. In 2015, Iran, with the P5+1 group of world powers, the USA, UK, France, China, Russia and Germany, agreed on a long-term deal on its nuclear program. The deal was named as Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA) and in common parlance as Iran Nuclear Deal. Under the deal, Iran agreed to curb its nuclear activity in return for the lifting of sanctions and access to global trade. The agreement allowed Iran to accumulate small amounts of uranium for research, but it banned the enrichment of uranium, which is used to make reactor fuel and nuclear weapons. Iran was also required to redesign a heavy water reactor being built whose spent fuel could contain plutonium suitable for a bomb and to allow international inspections. The prelim thought link is what is the IAEA, its composition, powers, functions, etc. Relation of IAEA with the UN, members of IAEA, programs of IAEA, board of governors, composition, voting and functions, and also what is uranium enrichment. Fourth is The Hindu. Next is the Swachh Sarvekshan 2021. GS paper 1. Topic is population and associated issues, poverty and developmental issues, urbanization, their problems and their remedies. So why is it in news? The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MOHUA, has launched the 7th consecutive edition of Swachh Sarvekshan, the world's largest urban cleanliness survey conducted Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. What's new in the 7th edition? Designed with people first as its driving philosophy, Swachh Sarvekshan 2022 curated towards capturing the initiatives of cities for the overall welfare and well-being of frontline sanitation workers. The survey, flavored with the Azadi at 75 spirit, will also give priority to the voices of senior citizens and young adults alike and reinforce their participation towards upholding the cleanliness of urban India. SS 2022 has incorporated specific indicators that drive cities to improve working conditions and livelihood opportunities for sanitation workers in urban India's sanitation journey. The survey is set to protect India's ancient legacy and culture by nudging citizens to take ownership and initiative to clean urban India's monuments and heritage spots. This year's survection is committed to creating a level playing field for smaller cities by introducing two population categories under 15K and between 15K to 25K. To further expand the survection footprint, district rankings have been introduced for the first time. The scope of the survey has been expanded to now cover 100% wards for sampling as compared to 40% in previous years. So what is Swachh Sarvekshan? Launched by PM Modi in 2016. It is meant to monitor the performance of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which was launched on October 2, 2014, the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. It was also aimed at inculcating a spirit of healthy competition among cities towards becoming India's cleanest cities. So, who conducts the survey? The Quality Council of India (QCI) is in charge of evaluating the performance of the participating cities. This is an autonomous accreditation body which was set up by the Government of India in 1997 for quality assurance in all fields, including governance. So areas of evaluation under Swachh Sarvekshan. This is important for Trillium's point of view. Okay, capacity building, Swachh Bharat Mission, e-learning portal, waste collection, sweeping and transportation, MSW processing and disposal, solid waste. Okay, so ODF, toilet, information, education, and behavior change. So prelims hot link is what is Swachh Sarvekshan? When was the first survey conducted? Top performers in the latest survey about Bharat Abhiyan. So about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, about the Quality Council of India. Source is The Hindu. Okay, so next is the Akash Prime. It is important for prelims. It is a prelims specific topic. So what is Akash Prime? It is a newer version of Akash missile tested recently by DRDO. In comparison with the existing Akash system, Akash Prime is equipped with an indigenous active RF radio frequency seeker for improved accuracy. Other improvements also ensure more reliable performance under low temperature environments at higher altitudes. So ninth is the Taiwan state. It is important for prelims. Okay. Now the Taiwan state is a 110-mile wide channel that separates mainland China from the island of Taiwan. It is also known as the Formosa Strait or the Tai the Tai Sea. The Taiwan state makes up part of the South China Sea and its northern portion is linked to the East China Sea. These things are very important from the prelims point of view. Okay, maps about the important topics, important places in news which are in news. Their location has to be remembered. Okay, so the state borders the southeastern part of China and runs along the eastern part of China's Fujian province. So this is the China. It borders with Laos, Thailand, and Taiwan is located here. Hong Kong is located here. South Korea is here. Okay, so Yellow Sea is there between Yellow Sea is between China and South Korea, and here is the Philippine Sea. Here is Japan. Okay, so you have to remember all these things. So thank you so much for watching the analysis video. Have a nice day.